Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Quick look here again at Solana, seeing what's going on. We are completing our fifth and final wave down here for this coin, and it's looking pretty bad and pretty good in a couple of different ways. I'm going to explain what I mean by that, obviously, throughout the video here by describing some examples. But if you're new to the channel, I just want to say thanks again so much for watching. If you've been watching for a while, deeply appreciate you hitting that like button, commenting below, and just generally speaking, being an awesome part of my life. So thank you for that. Let's take a quick look at liquidation first. This is the last 1 month's worth of liquidation, not a whole heck of a lot here to report. But since we're getting kind of into the woods here, we want to kind of look at the last 3 months too and see that 141 roughly has a small to medium-sized amount of leverage here still left there. Now, as to why that's still there, I don't know. But generally speaking, that is essentially a larger time frame liquidation level. And if we look at the smaller time frames, there's really nothing here at all. So my expectation here is if we're hitting our bottom at 148, which is a very distinct probability, then we're probably going to see an ABC pattern back up, right? We're going to see a higher high, higher low, and then a higher high again. Okay, that's generally what we're going to need to expect here moving forward. Now, I'll draw this out on my playout chart here later, and if you're not familiar, I do have a Twitter, Telegram, Discord where I kind of just show you my my anticipation of what's going to happen next, right? I feel like Bitcoin should be able to be range bound and likely be able to pivot from here, being in a support range. But generally speaking, that ties into Solana too, because if Bitcoin pulls back, Solana will. Solana's been about 2x of the retracement of Bitcoin. It's almost double when it pulls back. So keep in mind, Bitcoin comes down to say 65K, we could probably see the low 140s, even 130s. Okay? So we can't rule it out. We just want to kind of look at some different areas here and make sure we understand where we're at. Now again, I'm pulling the fib levels down here just to give us perspective on this retracement here. Technically, if we're going to be looking at potential for the next leg up, we're going to be wanting to look at this a bit of a smaller time frame. Okay, so we'll discuss that here in a minute. And for the moment, let's just go ahead and quickly look at the larger time frames, kind of see where we're at. We discussed this recently that we've broken fairly bearish, but we had a support level yesterday. So in other words, when we were in the 160 range, we could see here that there was pretty obvious, right in the 150 to 160 range, we had that previous resistance turn support at 157. We've since lost that. That level was tested 2 or 3 times here over the last couple of days. And at this point, we're well below it. Pretty obvious, but generally speaking, we're below that range. And the key takeaway here is that 50-day SMA was supposed to work as a support. Really didn't. It doesn't always, but it's a good barometer of where you're at in the overall sense of things. So the truth here is that the new resistance level for us, which was a previous support, is at 156. We can just round up to say 157. So 157, you're going to consider taking a long position, for example, that'd be a solid consideration for, let me rephrase that. If you were to consider a long position, you'd want to secure profit before 157, okay? In other words, the probability of us breaking right straight through that instantly out of nowhere is pretty low, okay? But if we do see a relief rally, that would be the area in which we could see the price action gravitate towards and essentially reject off of. If we do take a look here at the larger timeframes here, this is roughly since roughly just say March 5th, ever since we've been in this range of 125 or higher, we can see the current volume profile, or basically point of control, is exactly where we're at right now, 146. That's another confirming factor letting us know that we're in decent shape being where we're at. While the price could come lower, maybe a candle wick or two, we're likely to consolidate this range. This is where the fair value is. People feel like this is a good value for Solana. Okay? But there's no other way around it. The daily time frames turned totally bearish. We're still under 50 on the RSI. We didn't recover to break through that. Money flow index is down. Stochastic's trying to swing up, but it's not a very strong swing. And the MACD is still essentially diverging. So not a lot of proof here that it's a good consideration just to take along right now. What we need to see is the 1 hour and the 4 hour start to give us some, some breaths of fresh air, or whatever analogy you want to insert here, because at this point it's not very favorable. Let's quickly look though here. This is a larger, this blue line here, by the way, I've had this on the chart for a while. It's a weekly candlestick closure. So it does kind of reaffirm that support at 148 to 147. Okay? So there's a hypothetical support range right now where we're at. Once again, it's very loose. It's based on a very larger time frame weekly close. It's not something you want to base your trade off of. But I can tell you that's going to be a confirming factor for us later. We'll pay attention to that. At this point, though, we can see money flow index is above the RSI. So this is generally unfavorable. We want to see the MFI lower if we're going to see a nice little bounce here. But generally speaking, when the RSI gets closer to 30 on the 4 hour time frame, anytime we've seen this before in the past, let's just say, for example, This is when the RSI was at 30 here. Okay, price action recovered pretty good, pretty strong. Last time we saw RSI below 30, here's another example here. While it came up and then back down again, we did see, again, this is likely an ABC right there. Okay, so again, there's a lot of reasons why RSI being at 30 right now, there's a solid consideration for Solana not going much lower. Again, just being as overextended as it is to the downside. But once more, we look at everything else, we can see MACD's still diverging. You know, money flow index is low, stochastic hasn't fully swung up yet. There's a lot of reasons why it might be a little premature just to jump right in. We do take a look at TD sequential. We can see we got a little bit of a reset, but we're down to a 5. Hypothetically, we see 20 more hours of continuation of the downside, or 16, somewhere in that range. So we got about a 12-hour period, basically a half day's worth of trading roughly, between now and the time in which Solana finds its bottom. So generally speaking, at this point, it's not advantageous to consider taking a trade, but again, that money flow index coming down, RSI being closer to 30, I think there's a strong chance or a distinct probability we'll see a slight relief rally and get an ABC back upwards. Let's look at the hourly. We're going to probably see and confirm the same stuff here. Ichimoku Cloud is basically telling us to leave our short position open if you have one and to not really consider a long just yet. It's still premature. We, in fact, closed our Solana long early. In fact, we when the price came down to the 150 range, I knew for a fact that we lost our invalidation there, and it's not really worth keeping the trade open. While it was already in the red, it's better to close, a trade that's going to continue to run versus just hoping and adding to your position. Again, I recommend isolated trades versus cross-margin trades just because newer traders will use cross-margin and keep adding to their position and just totally destroy their accounts because of it. So it's not really recommended. Obviously, depends on your portfolio size. Cross-margin does have its benefits, but I can tell you it's just a riskier way to trade. So generally, we like to do low leverage, low position size on isolated trades. But that's, again, I have a lot of traders underneath me. I try to be safe and make sure that we all can secure profits without losing too much, which is why we closed the trade earlier. So the bottom line here is that we're still continuing lower. We do take a look at TD sequential here. We hit an overextended state once, and now we're down to a 6. So hypothetically, 2 or 3 more hours, we're going to start to see the price action kind of hang out in this range, somewhere in the range of 148, possibly even as low as just say 145, 146. It may even go lower if Bitcoin continues to drop below 66,000. You got to recognize that. So again, I think it's premature at this point to consider taking a long. If you do take a long, you insist on it. Make sure you use low leverage, low position size. At this point, if you're going to consider a profit target, 150, just below 150.3, so $150 would be a good profit target. Secondary to that would be 152. Again, the numbers I'm giving you are just below those key fib levels, because you want to secure profits before you hit a Fibonacci retracement level. It's amazing how fast prices will turn around at those specific levels, and also try not to use round numbers as well. So instead of 150, 149.95. The price is right. Anyways, that's kind of where we're at. The last thing here, just to quickly summarize, we have our most recent point of control in the last 24-hour period at about 154. So hypothetically, the price recovers up to that level. That is the area in which the bears have taken control. So simply put, when the price action is below that, we can presume it's going to be a resistance for us. So we've got a lot of resistances above us. There's no other way around it. So what we very well could see happen, and this could be based on that point of control, is just say hypothetically the price is right here in this range. Price may come up to that point of control, pull back to a more recent fib, and then continue up to a 0.618. And that's generally speaking where you're going to see the price action top out and typically go the opposite direction. Again, depends on the market conditions. There's a lot of factors involved here, folks, but what I'm getting at here is there's a possibility we're going to see something along these lines here. And we just got to wait and see. So be patient. Tomorrow's FOMC. I'm waiting until after the meeting to send out some trades. I'm considering a handful of trades, but I'm going to be leaning more towards long positions, mainly because everything's overextended to the downside. I think we can catch a little bit of a relief rally and get the price action when it responds either poorly or advantageously with a low leverage, low position size type of trade, right? One that gives us some wiggle room if the price does go the opposite direction. But again, nothing too crazy because this is cryptocurrency, folks. The whole market is trash sometimes. So it's best not to adapt and become the trash. You got to rise above and see the bigger picture, understand that it's just the way it goes, and you got to roll with it. It's not, this is just another day in trading, okay? I hope you all learned something here today. Thanks again for watching. Do yourself a favor, though. Make sure you join Bitunix. Phenomenal exchange. They got an exclusive deposit bonus between now and the 30th of June. You have to use my link to register, but it's really simple. Just go ahead and click the link awesome deposit rewards. If you used my link previously, absolutely, of course, you're eligible to automatically go ahead and deposit away. I do have a Twitter, Telegram, Discord, YouTube, TikTok, everything kind of trying to get you some shorts too as well, and just keep you abreast in the market. I appreciate the awesome feedback for those who have been doing so. Thank you again. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.